Fiction and moral psychology. Fiction can be utilized to teach moral learning and moral decision making. It allows for individuals to create and assess their values within the context of the narrative, according to David Lewis, from Dispositional Theories of Value, 1989. Currie states that experiences encompass sensation of characters as well as their desires, beliefs, and intentions. Imagination allows individuals to see moral issues and make moral choices. Currie makes the distinction between imagination as theory and imagination as simulation, where the former is where individuals imagine themselves to be in a situation, and the latter is where individuals temporarily take on the values, beliefs, and perspectives of the protagonist in the fiction. These differences in imagination allow individuals to either sympathize with the feelings of other characters or empathize with them and feeling what the characters feel. Currie also distinguishes between imagination and fantasy, where fantasy is when individuals have too many psychological and perceptual experience biases that distort inputs and outputs and outcomes of the real world. Thus, all fantasies are imaginations, but not all imaginations are fantasies. Fantasies can become distortions of reality themselves. The quality of information in imagination can increase through external aids, like the use of props in make-believe games. They make it easier to construct narratives which bring about imaginative pleasure. It can help instruct how individuals react to the unfamiliar and acknowledge the outcomes resulting from the adoption of certain values. This in turn helps individuals to change their values to best adapt to the situation, or either to re-examine and recommit to these values. Thus, one's moral outlook can be influenced by imagination and fiction. Currie also makes the distinction between primary and secondary imaginings, where primary imaginings consider what is fictional, whereby the reader imagines about the situation and characters. Secondary imaginings consider what a fictional character might do, what values they might hold to, possible situations they might be in. Primary imaginings do not necessarily depend on secondary imaginings except when the consumer of fiction experiences what the character perceives, akin to empathetic reenactment. Secondary imaginings are significant for moral learning, since they allow readers or viewers to imagine the fictional protagonist's mental state, attitude, and thus learn about how this mental state causes the character to behave in the specific situation. Fiction, thus, can help individuals connect and empathize with others, the environment, and the community. The audience identification is limited to individuals who use secondary imaginings to represent the character's experiences, but despite this, other ways of storytelling, like podcasts for example, can be used to provide auditory aids, like sound effects and music, to bring a narrative to life. This can make fiction produce moral learning. There are, however, negative consequences in using fiction, since a narrative can produce moral error which can strengthen biases and incorrect heuristics, thus distorting the way we perceive the world, and our particular moral vision can blur the line between what we believe to be real and fiction. Despite this, however, basically, fictions can help us connect and consider different viewpoints, whether it is viewpoints that we agree with or viewpoints that we do not agree with.